Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue good stories for great holidays. Bird Day: The Old Woman Who Became a Woodpecker by Phoebe Cary. Adapted. Afar in the Northland, where the winter days are so short and the nights so long, and where they harness the reindeer to sledges, and where the children look like bears' cubs in their funny, furry clothes, there, long ago, wandered a good saint on the snowy roads. He came one day to the door of a cottage, and looking in, saw a little old woman making cakes and baking them on the hearth. Now, the good saint was faint with fasting, and he asked if she would give him one small cake wherewith to stay his hunger. So, the little old woman made a very small cake and placed it on the hearth. But as it lay baking, she looked at it and thought, "That is a big cake indeed. Quite too big for me to give away." Then she kneaded another cake, much smaller, and laid on the hearth to cook. But when she turned it over, it looked larger than the first. So she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it out, and rolled it out, and baked it as thin as a wafer. But when it was done, it looked so large that she could not bear to part with it. And she said, "My cakes are much too big to give away." And she put them on the shelf. Then the good saint grew angry, for he was hungry and faint. "You are too selfish to have a human form," said he. "You are too greedy to deserve food, shelter, and a warm fire. Instead, henceforth, you shall build as the birds do, and get your scanty living by picking up nuts and berries and by boring all day long in the bark of trees." Hardly had the good saint said this when the little old woman went straight up the chimney and came out at the top changed into a red-headed woodpecker with coal-like feathers. And now every country boy may see her in the woods, where she lives in trees, boring for her food. The Tongue-Cut Sparrow by A.B. Mitford. Adapted. Once upon a time, there lived a little old man and a little old woman. The little old man had a kind heart, and he kept a young sparrow, which he cared for tenderly. Every morning it used to sing at the door of his house. Now, the little old woman was a cross old thing, and one day when she was going to starch her linen, the sparrow pecked at her paste. Then she flew into a great rage and cut the sparrow's tongue and let the bird fly away. When the little old man came home from the hills, where he had been chopping wood, he found the sparrow gone. "Where is my little sparrow?" asked he. "It pecked at my starching paste," answered the little old woman. "So I cut its evil tongue and let it fly away." "Alas, alas!" cried the little old man. "Poor thing, poor thing! Poor little tongue-cut sparrow! Where is her home now?" And then he wandered far and wide, seeking his pet and crying, "Mr. Sparrow, Mr. Sparrow, where are you living?" And he wandered on, over mountain and valley, and dale and river, until one day, at the foot of a certain mountain, he met the lost bird. The little old man was filled with joy, and the sparrow welcomed him with its sweetest song. It led the little old man to its nest house, introduced him to his wife and small sparrows, and set before him all sorts of good things to eat and drink. "Please, partake of our humble fare," sang the sparrow. "Or as it is, you are welcome." "What a polite sparrow," answered the little old man, and he stayed for a long time as the bird's guest. At last one day, the little old man said he must take his leave and return home. "Wait a bit," said the sparrow, and he went into the house and brought out two wicker baskets. One was very heavy and the other light. "Take the one you wish," said the sparrow, "and good fortune with you." "I am very feeble," answered the little old man, "so I will take the light one." He thanked the sparrow and, shouldering the basket, said goodbye. Then he trudged off, leaving the sparrow family sad and lonely. When he reached home, the little old woman was very angry and began to scold him, saying, "Well, and pray, where have you been all these days? A pretty thing indeed for you to be gadding about like this." "Oh," he replied, "I have been on a visit to the tongue-cut sparrow, and when I came away, it gave me this wicker basket as a parting gift." Then they opened the basket to see what was inside, and lo and behold, it was full of gold, silver, and other precious things. The little old woman was as greedy as she was cross, and when she saw all the riches spread before her, she could not contain herself for joy. "Oh, oh," cried she, "now I'll go and call in the sparrow and get a pretty present too." She asked the old man the way to the sparrow's house and set forth on her journey. And she wandered on over mountain and valley and dale and river until at last she saw the tongue-cut sparrow. Well met, Mr. Sparrow," cried she. "I've been looking forward with much pleasure to seeing you." And then she tried to flatter it with soft, sweet words. So the bird had to invite her to its nest house, but it did not feast her nor say anything about a parting gift. At last, the little old woman had to go, and she asked for something to carry with her to remember the visit by. The sparrow, as before, brought out two wicker baskets. One was very heavy, and the other light. The greedy little old woman, choosing the heavy one, carried it off with her. She hurried home as fast as she was able, and closing her doors and windows so that no one might see, opened the basket. And lo and behold, out jumped all sorts of wicked hobgoblins and imps, and they scratched and pinched her to death. As for the little old man, he adopted a son, and his family grew rich and prosperous. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Baby. I hope you all have a good night and sweet dreams.